On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
We're not against rap. We're not against rappers. But we are against those.
Something big about to happen. I hear the beat tapping. We some fly rhyming felines rapping on the track. Better yet, grab a gat, cause we hot like Enzo. Doors closed, windows up, cause that's the way we like to ride. Windy City hitting. Check mic 1 2 1 2. We live, baby. Hey, Chicago, and welcome back to part 2 of Nathan Moss' interview on the track Letter to the President by the Outlawz and Tupac Shakur. Okay. Hey, Nate, thank you for coming back. I appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime.
Okay, so we were discussing your reaction to Young Noble's death, and you stated what you stated, and I want to actually talk about some of the stuff that you did state in your reaction, which was how important mental health awareness is. So, Nate, how has your mental health shaped the way you move through life? And how has music been there for you when words just couldn't carry the weight?
Oh yeah, it affected my life probably more than my physical disability or my hearing loss. I mean, it because I got stated previously in part 1. You know, I have a happy, loving family. You know, I'm bored, YT. I have silver spoon at a night out, and the button doesn't allow you to fully enjoy what you do have in life, as opposed to what you don't have in life. So I find that having a disability is something I've dealt with for 43 years. But what's been more tiring is having to deal with depression on top of that. Because it doesn't allow you to appreciate, like I said, what I do have in life. And I think it's just the inability. Depression can be defined in many ways for different people. But for me, depression is the inability to be happy on a consistent basis.
Wow. So your definition of depression is the inability to be happy on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely could relate to that, Nathan. Like, I'm sure a lot of people listening today can relate to that statement. But let's jump into the track Letter to the President off the album Still I Rise, released in 1999. Nate, what do you think Letter to the President was trying to say about the struggles of Black America during the Bill Clinton's presidency? I mean, do you feel the message still hits today?
Not to be sarcastic, but I'm a white guy. I've only visited America a lot, but I've never lived there. But if I can say that the conditions haven't changed, 1999, when I done was released, then there's a bit part. So hell yeah, I think the crowd still reverberate today, for sure. Absolutely it does. Just going over some of the things during the time period. I mean, the violent crime and the violent crime control and law enforcement act that President Clinton passed in the first year of his administration, and the author of it was Joe Biden. We did a good amount of work on the bill, and the impact it had on the mass incarceration of BIPOC folk in America, communities, families, individuals, uh, which led it be far more damaging than I think anybody really realized it. So if I can say as an ally that it still reverberates today, I wonder how you guys in Chicago feel about it. So it's pretty obvious to me, and if it's obvious to me, then I think it's obvious to you, Nicole, as well.
Nah, you definitely are right. As you stated, you're just a white guy in
Yeah,
Canada,
yeah, you
but
know, yeah,
mhm, you're knowledgeable and you know what was going on in 1999 here in America under Bill Clinton's administration,
yeah.
like you said, the heavy amount of racial profiling on both the black and brown communities, the police violence affecting us in general, the aftermath of the 1991 Rodney King beating, the LA riots in 1992, and as you stated, Bill Clinton passing the bill, I think it's called Three Strikes in 1994 to fund federal prisons for longer visits for inmates. They're funding these prisons to keep people in.
Well, I think one of the indirect impact of that act and portions of that act, including the three strike law, is what it did was globally, I think it emboldened fleets around the world to ask for more funding, more officers, more armored vehicles, more more stigmatization of the poor, more racial profiling. Like here in Victoria, uh, uh, with the population of 700,000, uh, you know, every year, in the city of Victoria, there's been an augmentation of police funding in the city budget, and they keep asking for more police, more more technology, more armored vehicles. So I think what that bill did, that President Clinton passed, was it really encouraged law enforcement units to really ask for more resources, more usage of control, more duty to be on the street in the name of public safety. So that bill that President Clinton passed, yeah, it severely impacted the United States. But I would argue that it had a global impact as well, because it really emboldened even representative democracies to augment their police powers. Because the more you can control a population, particularly in an urban areas where you have access to supply, where you have access to weapons, when you have access to all those things that people could to sustain their own society, well then you better control them. because otherwise you're gonna have more Malcolm X's and more Tupac Shakur's and more Booker T. Washington and and all those people. If you give black people too much power or indigenous people too much power up here in Canada, then they're gonna start envisioning a world of their own.
Yeah.
And that's the problem,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's definitely the problem. That's why a lot of the people that you just named are not here anymore because they don't want us to hold any type of power because we will build our own communities. We will overthrow anything that they're trying to throw at us. You know what I mean? It's true. So if you give black people the opportunity to do so, they will do it. And I agree. So that's one way to keep certain people oppressed.
hmm and to the victims of violent crime, I would like to be clear that I'm not saying that bad social harm or crimes aren't committed. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is it's not just about individual acts of stated people or psychopaths. It's about a whole systemic infrastructure that was built from the time of slavery in America, right? And the residential tours of Canada. So this is much more than just individual acts of crime, right? So to all you listeners out there, if you have suffered because of a violent crime, please know that we're not trying to dismiss your pain. It's just that your pain, in my opinion, is being manipulated,
Mm.
right? To have you think that you need more, we need more help in living together than we do, right? And they use the very small percentage of violent crime in most countries around the world to say, oh, here's the reason why we need it. Because like 2% of the actual crimes are actually violent, but you never know. So we better spend millions and billions of dollars on law enforcement infrastructure just in case.
Yeah, I know that's right. The millions of dollars spent on law enforcement is not is not benefiting us in the way that you think it would, you know?
Absolutely.
Man,
Yeah.
okay. So let me ask you this. Do you believe that the artists of today carry that same political weight in their music? Or has hip hop shifted away from confronting real issues like the ones Tupac and the Outlaws spoke on?
You, I don't know. I don't know. I think today's hip hop scene doesn't even come close. And I'm not saying that just because I'm an old head. I'm saying that because it's real. I mean, today's generation, we all know what happened when we speak out for empowerment, for liberation, and for freedom. You get killed, that, or you get incarcerated, or you get released when you're a very old man, like Leonard Peltier, or some of the Black Panthers that were released as a part of Corn Pro. They're old people now, and they have their energy. Their, they've been trapped. They've been trapped. The revolutionary energy is gone, and so today's generation has been stirred by the previous generation experiences and all the covers, archival covers of the previous generation. People know what happens when you stand up. People know because they've seen Rodney King over and over again on the TV, right? And so, they know what happened to Bart. They know what happened to Biggie. They know what happened to the Outlawz. They know what happened to Martin and Malcolm and even Bob Marley. They know what happened. You wind up 6 feet deep like the Ghetto Boys. If you reject, you're gonna wind up dead. And I think today's generation, along with pacification of movement in general in North America, people don't want to fight because they know what the consequences are. Because they don't want to be, they don't want to be 6 feet deep in a coffin. They don't want to write the obituaries, but they might not even be. So, like, and that's another topic for another day, but yeah, hip hop is really gained, really mellowed, really focused on consumerism, like cars, and it was like that back in the day too. But there was also room for people like Pot, people like Eazy-E, people like the Ghetto Boys, or Soldier Clem of No Limit, or look at Steve Murder. Look at what happened to him. Troy Miller, he's doing life incarceration for a murder that he probably didn't commit, and he's doing time in Louisiana, arguably one of the highest incarceration rates in the world, let alone the United States, the state of Louisiana. So people are suffering for it from the hip hop game still to this day. So I think hip hop has shied away from that because they don't want to end up in a cell or in the ground, right?
Yeah, I think you on to something. You're right. This generation don't want to fight. They don't want to stand up because of what has happened to our past leaders in the past. I get it. Um,
Yeah, and I forgot to mention like Fred Hampton and the victims that Conan bro. I mean, they, they, Fred Hampton got shot in bed. I mean, when he was living, I mean, how much more ruthless can he get? And so, I do think Black Lives Matter has played, well, I think some of what they do and what they raise is extremely invaluable. I do think Black Lives Matter, with all due respect, represent the pacification of the population because it's way better to go and implement dual programs and pay people rallies than actually, pick up arms and, you know, fight for empowerment because you don't wind up dead, right? And
yeah.
so I think Black Lives Matter, I'm not ditching it. There's a place for it, but there's a reason why Black Panthers and more radical movements are critical of Black Lives Matter because it gets dark, you know? It just doesn't do the trick.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like you're throwing up the fist, the Black Lives Matter fist.
Uh, Well, Black Power, man.
Black
You know,
power, yeah.
of course, you know, to did not support Black Lives Matter would be stupid. But what I'm saying is that from ducking down knowledge, from listening to more radical Black leaders like Mamiya Abdul Jamal, uh, Black Lives Matter is not good enough because the state has weapons. The state has the police, and they don't care if you rally and ask for no justice, no peace. That doesn't affect the powers that be. Because they know they're just going to show up and disperse the riot squad, and you're all going to go home, right? So, yeah, I mean, hip hop, the hip hop that we knew back in the day is dead. and it need to be revitalized. But it's hard to be revitalized when she murdered doing life in prison, and everybody else is dead. So yeah, we need it back, and unfortunately, I can't be that guy. But hopefully, mid hip hop will play a role in revitalizing that.
Oh, thank you, Nate. Yes, I wish to play a role to revitalize life inside of hip hop again with empowerment and political statements and all of that.
Yeah, yeah. So we need like, and when you kill a leader, you the leaders are leaders for a reason. They're the ones that carry the badge, so that people can come along, right, and do their part. So when you kill a leader like Malcolm, or you kill a leader like um, Bob Marley, for instance, you're killing everybody else, because now people feel like my hero gone, my leader gone, my voice is gone. He allowed everybody else to fit into the roles and contribute as they could. But now, when the leaders go, it deteriorated the whole movement, you know? So, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I agree, Nate. I've heard that phrase for a long time that hip hop is dead, but never in the way that you explained it with answering that question. And hip hop is dead in that aspect. So,
yeah. You
yeah.
know, no, like what, no disrespect, but what J. Cole and Gucci Man, and all those cats, you know, they gotta do what they gotta do, but, they're not contributing to conscientious hip hop the way that Public Enemy was, back in the day, and even Grandmaster Flat, all the New York cats, you know, I mean, it's just not the same, you know, and the only way the world is gonna change is if people pick up their weapons themselves, and a weapon doesn't have to be like a gun or a knife. It can be your voice too.
Yeah. Your brain, your voice. You're right.
And
Definitely.
yeah, for sure.
Okay. That was an excellent answer. I wanted to ask you what line or verse spoke to you the most in the track Letter to the President. What really stood out to you?
Well, I think there wasn't one line that stood out for me. What stood out for me, the lyrics are beautiful, by the way. But what stood out to me is the urgency, right? Like, dear Mr. President, tell me what to do. 10 more troops, boys rising up in the hood, right? So, the desperation, the urgency, like this, you know, you got elected. Yeah, so what? The same problem that's still going on in my neighborhood, and you don't want to do anything about it,
Mm.
and you don't care. It's like, and so that's what I get out of that song. It's a direct figurative misdial at the Clinton administration, and instead of Public Enemy, where they would kind of name drop politicians in their song, which is great. But that's what I liked about this song, was it was the direct figurative and lyrical misdial at the Clinton administration. And unfortunately, it came out both both humanly, uh, in 1999, towards the end of the Clinton administration. But yeah, that, and the urgency, the desperation, the no hold barred approach, uh, Tupac was dangerous to the to the white supremacist establishment in the United States. And that Dawn is evident about. He was willing to
hit pause on whatever you're listening to and hit play on your next adventure. Stay 2 nights and get a $50 Best Western gift card. Life's a trip. Make the most of it at Best Western. Visit bestwestern.com for complete terms and conditions.
Meet the most capable CRV Honda has ever dreamed of. The all-new CRV Trail Sport Hybrid. With all-terrain tires and available enhanced traction control, it's built for wherever the day takes you. Heated front seats and a heated steering wheel, ideal for winter drives and crisp early starts. And with generous cargo space, it's ready for big gear and even bigger getaways. The CRV Trail Sport Hybrid. Learn more at honda.com/CRV.
Convinced in 1992 he was willing to create that life. He was willing to sit down with the OGs of Los Angeles and create peace between the Crips and the Blood. And they actually came together and wrote like a number of, I think there were 10 or 12 things that they wanted the city of Los Angeles to do to empower their neighborhood, right? And they even had musical albums collaborating between the Crips and the Blood at that time, Banning on What. And they're great albums, but you know, that was the power of Tupac. And that light was, it had the ability to bring people together, but more literally, who had the weapon, the OGs, the gangs in the neighborhood, right? And so if you can get them to stop fighting each other for every piece of the pie, the state and the federal government are in huge trouble, right? So in that instant, Tupac had to go. He had to go, like, seriously.
No, definitely right. Tupac's voice was a dangerous mechanism during that time, which is why, like I said, they took him out of here. And the delivery of the song and the urgency, like you said, it definitely holds fidelity to today's time. And I know that you say you didn't have a specific part of the song that stood out to you because all of it did, like I said. Me personally, I just want to say I love when Tupac said, "I want to meet the president, but will he meet me? Is is he scared to look inside the eyes of a thug nigga? We tired of being scapegoats for this capitalistic drug dealing. How hypocritical is liberty? That blind bitch ain't never done shit for me." Now,
Yeah, it doesn't get more powerful than that. It's like, yo, come to my hood, come to my territory, meet my people, see what real struggle is. Real struggle is not riding taxis. Real struggle is not more tools or federal or infrastructure projects. Real struggle is poverty. Real struggle is disability. Come to my hood, come to my world, and I'll show you. But you're afraid. You're afraid to look into my eyes because I speak the truth, right? That's what he's saying. You know, I'm down to have a conversation with you. I don't hate you because you're white. I hate you because of what you're doing and why, and the fact that you and every other president before you and since you has ignored us. And what happened to 40 acres in a mill? Well,
right.
as an ally, I'm still wondering what happened, myself. But I think we all know. I think 40 acres in a mill represent land. And if you give Black people land, if you give indigenous people their land back, then that land that the White House can control, right?
Mm.
So land, weapons, and sustainability are three dangerous things that capitalism cannot have. It cannot have. The moment that happens, tribalism is in trouble. So that's what Tupac was saying. He was challenging Clinton to come to my world, come to my hood. Be interested like Nathan Roth. Come to learn, come be educated. But we're not going to get a deal done unless you come to my level, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I agree. You give indigenous people land, weapons, and stability, it's over. Everything we take back the power, and that has been the narrative in America since the beginning of time. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Thank you so much, Nate, for coming on Speak Your Mind Radio to express your opinion about Letter to the President featuring Tupac Shakur and Outlawz and giving respect to the life and legacy of Young Noble.
Yeah, and I just want the people of Chicago and all across America to ask you a favor. Keep that life and Tupac and Young Noble and Malcolm and Afeni Secure and Atara Secure. I'll keep their memories alive, right? Don't say that because it's the present day, things are not the same. That's not true. Keep their voices alive, keep their memories alive, and encourage everyone, especially your young voices, to go back to the past and learn and connect the dots and be a resisting, fighting force for your freedom and liberation everywhere. And I implore that of you, and I will do what I can to help from up here. You got my word on that.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you for that beautiful sentiment. Thank you, Chicago, for listening. Thank you, Canada, for tuning in. And I hope this isn't your last time.
You bet.
All right. Peace out, Nate.
Yeah.
Hold on.